Riches to ruin, the unworthy son. In the heart of Makurdi, where the Benue River flowed like a silver ribbon under the African sun, lived a wealthy businessman, Torhemba, and his beloved wife, Ngoho. They were the epitome of affluence and influence, owning a chain of successful enterprises that had secured their family's fortune. Together, they had been blessed with 3 daughters, Dushima, Ngovran, and Mluman, each as beautiful and intelligent as they were well-mannered and respectful. Despite their comfortable life, a shadow loomed over their marriage. Torhemba, a man deeply rooted in the traditions of his ancestors, yearned for a male child. He loved his daughters but was often consumed by the thought that his lineage needed a son to carry on his name and inherit his empire. He would sit on the grand balcony of their estate, staring at the city skyline, sighing deeply. "A man without a son is like a tree without roots," he would say, his voice laced with frustration. "I need an heir, someone to carry my name and take over my company." Though Ngoho tried to reassure him that their daughters were more than capable of upholding the family name, Torhemba remained unconvinced. Some nights, his frustration turned into bitter words. "What is the point of all this wealth if I have no son to inherit it?" he snapped at Ngoho one evening. Her heart ached at his words, but she swallowed the pain and turned to prayer. Many nights, she would kneel beside her bed, pleading with God to bless them with a son. Unknown to her, their daughters, too, had taken up the silent wish. One evening, as she passed by their bedroom door, she overheard their soft voices. "Dear God," Dushima prayed, "please bless our family with a baby brother so that Daddy will be happy again." Tears welled in Ngoho's eyes as she pressed her hand against her chest. The love her daughters had for their father was undeniable, and their innocent prayers only deepened her own longing for a son. One fateful morning, Ngoho woke with an unusual lightness in her spirit. She had been feeling unwell for weeks, tired, dizzy, and oddly emotional. Encouraged by an unshakable intuition, she visited the family doctor, who confirmed what she had begun to suspect. She was pregnant. The news sent ripples of joy through their home. Torhemba was overjoyed, and when a scan later revealed they were expecting a boy, his happiness knew no bounds. "God has heard our prayers," he exclaimed. "My son will be the pride of this family. I will cherish and pamper him." Ngoho, too, was elated, though a small voice in her heart whispered caution. She had seen how some favored sons had turned out, spoiled, arrogant, and entitled. But she dismissed her concerns, choosing instead to bask in the happiness of her husband. Months later, after a long and grueling labor, Ngoho gave birth to a healthy baby boy. They named him Tokoma, meaning "God has done it." His arrival was met with celebrations, feasts, and the sound of thief drums echoing into the night. The entire household rejoiced, and Torhemba spared no expense in ensuring his son's arrival was grandly celebrated. From the very beginning, Tokoma was treated like royalty. Unlike his sisters, who had been raised with discipline and a sense of responsibility, he was indulged in every way. If he cried, he was immediately appeased. If he threw tantrums, they were dismissed as the antics of a spirited boy. "He is a boy," Torhemba would say proudly. "A lion does not need to be tamed." As Tokoma grew, so did his sense of entitlement. He was given everything he desired, and no one dared to deny him. His mother, blinded by love, ensured that he never knew hardship, and his father, proud beyond measure, saw no fault in his behavior. His sisters, however, watched with growing concern. They had been raised to be humble, hardworking, and respectful. Yet, their brother was being molded into something else entirely, proud, reckless, and arrogant. By the time Tokoma was 5, his behavior had already begun to show troubling signs. He would scream at the house help, demand food at odd hours, and throw things when he did not get his way. If he was corrected, he would run to his father, who would immediately defend him. "Leave my son alone. Torhemba would scold. He is just a child. He will outgrow it. But he did not outgrow it. Instead, his arrogance grew with him. In school, he was notorious for bullying other children. He refused to do his homework and scoffed at authority. His teachers called his parents in for discussions, but Torhemba dismissed their concerns. He is intelligent, he would say. He does not need to follow these petty rules. His mother, though slightly concerned, consoled herself with the thought that a mother's love should be boundless. My son is special, she would tell herself. He is just different. His sisters, now young women carving out their own paths, tried several times to speak to their parents about their brother's behavior. Mama, Baba, Dushima said one evening, you are not helping Tokoma. The way you are raising him, he will grow up to be a man who does not respect anyone. That is nonsense, Torhemba retorted. You are a woman, you will marry and leave this house. But Tokoma is my son, my heir. He will be fine. His daughters exchanged worried glances. They loved their brother, but they saw the danger their parents refused to acknowledge. And so, Tokoma continued to grow, surrounded by wealth but lacking the values that build a good man. As Tokoma entered his teenage years, his arrogance became unbearable. He refused to lift a finger at home expecting everyone to serve him. He talked back to his parents, insulted the drivers, and treated their staff as though they were beneath him. One evening, his father invited an important business associate over for dinner. As they sat in the grand dining hall, the guest extended his hand to shake Tokoma's. Instead of responding with the respect expected, Tokoma leaned back in his chair and scoffed. Why should I shake your hand? Do you know who I am? The entire room fell silent. Torhemba, embarrassed but still unwilling to correct his son, forced a laugh. Boys will be boys, he said, but his associate was not amused. A boy who is not disciplined will be a disgrace to his father, the man muttered before taking his leave. For the first time, Torhemba felt a flicker of unease. But he still did not change his style of parenting. Their 3 daughters, Dushima, Engovran, and Mluman, were well-mannered, hardworking, and responsible. Tokoma soon realized he could get away with anything. His sisters were taught to be disciplined, but he was not. If he wanted a toy, it was bought. If he wanted to avoid chores, no one dared to insist he did them. He developed an attitude of entitlement, believing he was superior simply because he was a boy. His sisters saw the danger in this and tried to warn their parents, but their concerns were ignored. He is a boy, he does not need to learn cooking and cleaning, Ngoho would say. His wife would do that for him. Unlike his sisters, who were taught discipline and respect, Tokoma was never corrected. He grew up believing the world revolved around him. If he wanted something, he took it. If anyone dared to deny him, he threw tantrums. His father, a wealthy businessman, provided him with everything, believing that spoiling him was a form of love. As Tokoma grew older, his arrogance and disregard for others became more evident. He spoke to his parents with disrespect, yet they excused him. He mocked his sisters' dedication to their studies and laughed at their dreams of independence. Women belong in the kitchen, he would sneer. Why are you all stressing yourselves? My wife will serve me. His sisters, now young women making strides in their respective careers, were deeply troubled.